Yeah, he came here from Kentucky or something like that.
Is that the guy with the gay-looking mustache? I hate mustaches.
What'd you say about mustaches? Behind that bush, I see you over there. Come on, man.
No, you don't. It's a bush. It's not me.
You're behind that bush. I can see you right there. I can see you.
Sorry about your mustache.
All right, man. Everybody knows you got to sweep before you mop.
What's up, guys? Welcome back, Goliath Killers. We got a good one for you today. Before we get into it, as usual, go down, smash all the buttons, and if you've got a beautiful lip rug like this young man here, get in the comments and let us know. Without further ado, I'm gonna hand it over to Sully, and he's gonna let you know what's going on.
What's up, guys? I'm Sully. Today we're going to go over some tactical tracking. It's going to go over the basics, kind of what you need. Kind of what you see on the table here is just kind of a starter kit for getting some good techniques down for tactical tracking. We're going to go over the basics of the Spore pit, what a Spore pit is, some terms, and then practice it a little bit. So without further ado, let's do it. All right, next term is going to be the Spore. So the Spore is basically the track that we're going to be looking at right down here. So if you guys can take a look, here's what we call a Spore. It's just a term that we like to use. And that's called the ground Spore. Next term is going to be quarry. So the Spore is what the quarry's track is, right? And then the quarry is going to be who we're tracking, or the people we're tracking. That's quarry. Next term we're going to be talking about is called the time distance gap. And that's basically the gap in distance in time between yourself, the tracker, and your quarry that you're looking for. So essentially, if you want to find that quarry, you want to make that 0. So depending on when you start, and say you start 11:30 noon, and you say maybe he is an hour ahead of you, so you want that distance to go down into as middle as possible, so you could find that quarry or that person who you're looking for. All right, so the next term we're going to be talking about is the track trap or Spore pit. So as you see here, I kind of cleared an area of this trail, so there's no contamination. We'll talk about contamination in a little bit, but it's pretty much a clean area, so somebody could walk through and you could see only those tracks, and it's not going to hinder you in any way. This is really used for training, but there is natural man-made Spore pits or track traps along your path that you're going to be following. So this would be considered like a track line. So if you started here and you were actually looking for somebody, all the tracks, all the spores put together is going to be called the track line. And that track line could lead through some natural Spore pits, so like a sandy area that's relatively clean. There's not many tracks from humans walking through there, or a lot of contamination, or walking through a wadi or a muddy area. That's going to be a pretty good track trap, and you can really see those spores or that footprint really well. Alright, so the next term we're going to be talking about is called the time shadow effect. So that's basically how the sun affects how you're going to be looking at your track. So you want the sun to be at a great angle, so either early morning when the sun's up and it's at a good angle, and late afternoon. So about right now is 11:30. kind of a bad time to start tracking because the sun's straight ahead and it's kind of washing out all the shadows. There's not going to be any shadows in the tracks. It's kind of washing the spores out. So that's time shadow effect. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is the dynamics of a footprint. So I'll kind of put this sketch down here just so you can see it maybe a little bit better. But it's going to be the primary impact point. So generally, if you're moving forward, primary impact point is going to be the heel if you're walking. If you're running and going up steep terrain, it's going to be the toe of the foot. So here's the heel, here's the toe. And usually it's going to have pretty good definition if you're just walking. And you can see here that he's moving in this direction. So the primary impact point is going to be the heel there. Next is going to be the heel roll, or the foot roll, I mean. And that's going to be basically the sole of the foot is just rolling through the entire foot, or the walking, or the track here. So as you can see on this track here, this specific foot, this shoe, it's kind of hard to see the center of there. So when you're actually drawing it out, draw it how you see it. If it's hard to see that foot roll or the sole or the center of the shoe, make sure you leave it out. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the last in the dynamics of the footprint is going to be the terminal point. So that's going to be where that foot's going to actually leave the ground. And that's normally the toe when you're walking slow. So, and it's going to kind of dig in. As you can see here, it's kind of, the definition is kind of hard to see there because when he lifts up, it kicks it back. It's also a good way to figure out which direction he's going. So next thing we're going to talk about is the characteristics of the human gait. So the first one's going to be stride. So basically what that is, it's going to be the distance between the closest of the 2 feet. So this is the left foot, this is the right foot. You're going to go from the toe to the heel. As you can see here, this one's actually kind of, he short-stepped it a little bit here. This one is about 10 inches here. So you're measuring from the heel to the toe. That's going to be the stride. All right, the next one is the straddle. So that's going to be the distance between the inside foot and the inside foot, the left and the right. So what we're going to do here, we're pretty much getting the distance from here to here. So it's about 1 inch here. So normally when you're practicing your techniques and you're kind of just getting the basics down, you're going to want to walk normal through a spore pit. So you have the normal distances and normal gait. Or I mean, this could be normal for anybody. So what you're basically doing here is you're getting a baseline of that person you're tracking. So say this is where we're starting our tracking part here. You're going to want to get as much information as you can here. So the stride, straddle, and then the last one is the pitch. So if anybody's heard of pigeon-toed, there's going to be the outwards, inwards, and neutral. So that's just kind of how their foot is oriented. Inward, outward, or neutral. So this is pretty neutral. You don't see any inward or outward angles there. So on your sketch here, what we got is neutral. So all these are going to pretty much tell a story of how this person walks and who this person is. And you're going to want to get a sketch or a picture of the footprint, because if you don't get any sort of details about this actual Spore footprint or the shoe that that person's wearing, down the line you may find something that's kind of similar, and you may second guess yourself. And a good way to make sure it is that person is you get the stride, you get the saddle and the pitch angles, and then you got to get all these other measurements here. So you want to get the actual size of the foot. So right here he's got it, and depending on what you guys like to use, inches or centimeters, it's about a 13 inch foot. So you just want to write that down there, and then you're going to want to get the width of the heel here. So it's about 3 or 4 inches. Get a pretty good measurement here. It's 3.5. Write that down. Then you want to get the measurement of the heel, just the heel. So the part that you can see the best, you know, that's going to be the primary impact point when he's walking. It's going to be the heel. Should have the most detail most of the time. And then here you can kind of see, you can't really see much there. That's pretty much from the foot roll and that sole there not being raised. It might be raised or whatever. So you want to just kind of guesstimate. That's about 7 inches. And then you're going to want to get the width of the toe up there. That's about 4 inches. And then all this is just kind of painting a picture for you. So you know exact measurements, exact details. You don't have to be an artist, as long as you could have some definition on your drawing here. So you know, okay, I know that he's got these little circles here, almost look like eggs, and he's got this star on his heel there. So when you see that on the ground, 1.5 miles down the trail, you could say, okay, I'm pretty sure this is him, based on the evidence that I've gathered, and you know the data that I've gathered here. So that's just kind of a rundown of the basics of tracking, and it just takes time and experience. And anybody could do this anywhere. You know, you could go and look at tracks all over the place. You could make a spore pit and get the actual measurements and practice getting measurements and seeing what different things look like, different pitch angles, different strides, different shoe prints, different types of tread, different shoes, barefoot, sandals. You know, it's good to get a variety of different exposures, just so you know what things look like. Come here. I got something to tell you guys. Secret. Come here. A little bit closer. There you go. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, if you made it this far in the video, we appreciate it. It's been a beefy one. I'm glad that we got Sully on the team now, subject matter expert in tactical tracking two-legged deer. Craig's not here with us today. We usually track four-legged stuff, but a lot of the stuff that Sully went over kind of goes hand in hand with that. You can replace X with Y and whatnot. But out of everything that we've gone over today, let's not forget the why we're doing it in the first place, and the situations that you as a civilian could find yourself into where you might need to use stuff like this.
Yeah, so one aspect, so if you go camping with your family, hiking or whatever, say a little kiddo, you know, walks off and you can't find them. If you have these skills of tracking and the ground is, you know, pretty easy to track in, you could probably go chase that little guy down and not have to worry too much. Or an elderly person walks off the woods on their property, you know, and out in the country, you may be able to go find an old lady and save the day. You never know.
Or if you get lonely, if doo-doo hits the fan, you find that old lady and you're lonely and you got that pancake mix ready at your camp.
Exactly.
You could track her down and feed her some pancakes.
Good old pancakes. Yeah, but I mean, all it takes is knowing the basics. With that spore pit that you create, getting the basics down, and then experience. It's all about experience. Just one day of practice in this isn't going to make you an expert. You have to go out and do it in all types of environments, terrains. Some are going to be a lot easier to track somebody than others, you know, especially when you get into urban environments. It gets very, very difficult, almost impossible. So
that's the thing, is like this video could be way longer. Similar videos are over an hour and whatnot, but you know, we're trying to keep it as short and sweet as possible. But when you go out in the woods and you're utilizing these skills and you're practicing, just don't go too fast. That's the only thing that I can bring to the table as far as tracking stuff is you got to go slower, almost too slow, to really observe stuff. Because if you go too fast, you might contaminate sign that you're looking for and whatnot. So really, really take your time and hone in on each part of this. Anyways, we appreciate y'all sticking with us, guys. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram. We got lots of merch on Etsy that's super inappropriate and whatnot. So besides that, guys, we'll catch y'all on the next one.
oh yeah.
I love USA!